Hey everybody, welcome to episode 61 of the Bonehead podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Bloodtithe Ben.
Hello, hello.
How you doing, BT? You okay?
Yeah, pretty good. Getting the longer hair every day. Soon going to get to elf length, but we'll get there in the end.
I have a hair travesty to talk about in a minute. But talking about hair travesties, we've not just
What an introduction.
We've got my oldest friend in the world, Ian Warhannam Hannam, on board. Ian,
Hey.
how are you? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. And yeah, I've recovered from my hair travesty, so I'm waiting for the next one now.
I actually had a bit of a hair travesty. But my hair grows incredibly fast. So I did a bit of a trim on the sides just so it didn't bush around the ears. And Tiff, bless her, was like, I'll trim the back for you a little bit. And I think I moved. And it got a little bit short, right in the middle. Fortunately, I had a mullet essentially before, just because of the length.
Okay.
So I have this clever reverse comb over that hides the short bit in the middle of my hair, and it's working.
Amazing. I thought it was going to be like some kind of inverted mullet there.
Yeah. Business on the bottom, party on the top.
Yeah.
That's a bowl cut. That's a bowl cut. I definitely had that. When I was a kid, I had the bowl cut.
Don't mention bowl cut; it's too close to home.
Oh, I don't know. And it's got a lot darker, Ben. Your hair's got a lot darker.
Like I said, going to the elf look. I'll be like a dark elf by Christmas.
Okay, put the knives down.
Well, I hope you. I hope you didn't throwing the ball around, because that's not allowed.
Hey,
Too soon. Dark elf coaches.
Yeah.
Anyway, we dragged Ian on the show, bless his heart, to help choose basically top entries with us for our painting competition that we ran last month, Paintuary. So 3 different kind of entries: fantasy, sci-fi, and Blood Bowl. We're each going to choose this is a tough one. I'm going to say our favourite. We're each going to choose our top pick from those groups. We're going to talk through them, we're going to show them off, and then we are going to send them off to Oscar, who has agreed because he destroyed Ian at Warhammer World one day. Owes him a favour. And
he smiled while he did it, so I forgive him.
That was a great game. That was an absolutely brilliant game.
It was about to really enjoy.
So Oscar is just an incredible painter and a really lovely chap. And because he's got all the skills, he's going to judge our entries for us and choose 3 winners, which is going to be pretty cool. But it's always fun to get in on to talk about Blood Bowl as well. And talking about Blood Bowl, BT, what are we chatting about on episode 61?
Today we're going to talk about you mentioned the painting competition winners. We're also going to be talking about choosing your team colours and how we do it, what goes into that. Things, maybe some good tips for everyone. And also the usual games, hobby, and news.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's kind of like a hobby special, which I think is appropriate given lockdown, because games have got away, and this was Ian's suggestion.
Hobby's taken over.
Hobby has taken over. I've been painting.
Yeah,
I did a painting stream.
Everyone we know has just sort of ranked up in the hobby because we just had so much time to do it.
I think there was when the kind of this particular lockdown first kind of came in, there's a bit of a slump. And it was just kind of after Christmas, and everyone was maybe just feeling a bit fed up with it and all of that. But I think all of a sudden people are starting to think, well, we'll use the time now. We'll kind of bounce ideas off each other. And it's been really cool just seeing the variety of projects going on in our group, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Sam's been really getting into his boroughs and badges, which has been nice to see. And Rich is going full pew pew.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
No, I know. It's a miracle.
It's cool, and I think everyone has kind of leveled up, and there are so many new players that are joining as well. And I don't know, maybe it's the kind of spectre of the release of the end of the lockdown being 6 weeks away in England, for example. This is my goal. My goal is to have all the Blood Bowl teams needed for the YouTubes to be painted, ready to go, so that as soon as we can get to entoyment and film some stuff, got teams ready to go. I mean, to be fair,
forward to that.
if I can't get them painted, I'm just gonna, steal your guys' ones instead. But
I think they belong to you anyway, don't they?
entoyment, really.
Give me some notice because mine aren't painted either.
Oh yeah, you need to crack on with that. There we go. Right, fantastic. Before we go back into talking about hobby, and like I said, this is kind of be like a hobby special. Like Ben said, we're going to look at choosing team colours, but it's really going to delve into colour theory, and Ben has got his thesaurus ready to use a lot of bougie painting terms.
Words I don't know the meaning to. Classic move.
Oh, I like it. Right, let's have a quick look at Blood Bowl news, and then then we'll get painting. Okay, to the news. So there's not a lot going on in Blood Bowl land right now. I think we're just brewing up. I'm hoping that we're going to have a couple of busy months. There's a lot of rumours kicking around about lots of different stuff at the moment. So really, the only thing to talk about is the fact that we got... what was the Dwarf Star player called in?
Dwarfy McDead.
Krong Hackflem, I think, was what...
Something like that.
We're back onto Klingon.
Oh dear.
Yeah, also known as Skrull Half Height, which 2 out of 3 of those are actual words, is now up for pre-order. So I've pre-ordered him, and I pre-ordered the other miniature that's available, which is Gretchen. So what's the release date for those? It's tomorrow, isn't it? Or yeah, the 5th, and this podcast comes out on the 6th. So hopefully everybody will have got their Skrull priced at £19, and Gretchen also priced at £19. So pretty expensive. I mean, what do you guys think of the miniatures? Let's start with Gretchen, because I've got her on the screen. What do you guys think of the Gretchen mini?
Yeah, I
think
mean, it's good.
You carry on, Ian. You carry on.
No, I think it's good. But yeah, I think that's one of the things, isn't it? When you look at the price tag, and I think you've mentioned this before about how rules maybe not being particularly appealing. It's quite hard to imagine I would kind of pick her up at £19 for a player that I probably very rarely use, and I don't think it's one that's got enough to it to be like a really enjoyable painting project on its own, over say just picking up some Mermon Banshees or something.
I really like the Mermon Banshees.
Yeah, they are really good.
And you can get 2 boxes of them basically for the same price as Gretchen. However, we have picked up a copy because we want to have a look, so that if you're contemplating buying, you can see what size she is, see how many millions of Forge World pieces there are she's in, which is pretty cool. So Ben, Skrull or Gretchen, miniature wise, what's your pick here?
Oh, for me, I prefer Skrull. I think he's more fun. For me, I think, like you say, Gretchen, there are good alternatives. She's still beautiful. Love the miniature, but I think for me it has to be Skrull. I just think he's very Blood Bowl. Yeah, I just think he's a lot of fun.
He is incredibly Blood Bowl. It looks really cool. It'd be interesting to see just how big he is. Obviously, he's a dwarf, so I would expect him to be in line.
Yeah. On the 32mm base he does look pretty stunty still.
He looks kind of small, guys.
Yeah.
And that is
he's not
nice shoulder
I'd
pads.
say he's probably around £4 small rather than £19 small. But yeah.
Can you imagine 3D printing that miniature? How much would it cost? 19p?
Don't say too hard, because then otherwise you'll affect the sales.
No, I mean, it's cool. I like it. I think it's fun, and it is definitely the best dwarf in Blood Bowl. It is.
I mean, I'm actually surprised I haven't seen that many conversions yet. You know, using a dwarf with a skull and maybe mixing a few things up.
We had one on Whip Wednesday this week, actually.
Oh, but nice! I'll have to go back and watch that.
Someone took a white Blitzer and basically just cut the legs and torso down ever so slightly. Plastic glued it together so it worked. It worked brilliantly. He was like, "I need to add a beard," but yeah, I mean, it's cool.
Ah, fantastic.
The cool thing about Skrull is it's different enough to stand out, I think.
Yeah.
100%. He's the short guy.
And like you guys said, actually cheap enough to get on the pitch. And when you've got him on the pitch, it is kind of like a meme player. Like I've got an Edge 4 undead
That
dwarf.
like mega throw rule is amazing.
But
I
it's
really
so
like
cool.
that.
It's just
It's
like
really
a
fun.
one-trick pony.
I want to see a bit more of that in Star Players, actually.
Yeah.
Just like
I
a
agree.
big play, or
Yeah.
something that's a bit more out the box.
Stuff that
Definitely.
you'll also use, like you could use every game, and it will be that thing they do.
Yes, that's exactly it. To be fair, Gretchen does have that thing where she can dodge and add her strength to her dodge roll, I think.
But that's just kind of like doesn't really change the game. It just lets her get away.
Well, she can walk into a cage once per game and then take a strength 3 block with no skills. I know. For 200 and was it 260k? So 20k more, you get Griff essentially. But I don't know. I think we'll see some more undead star players land at some point. There's a few missing. There's the vampire guy missing. There's the big old Khemri guy missing. So what's that? Count Luther and then Ramtut is missing. Sindbad, I don't think we'll see come back, but I don't know. I think they've just got scope to do a lot more. So yeah, we've got these 2 star players coming out. I mean, I think Ben and I talked about this last episode, but Ian, what do you think? When are we going to see the next team for Blood Bowl?
Next team. What are we now? It's hard to keep track, isn't it? So we've just started February, haven't we?
In the year 25,
I think we'll hear about them in April.
I think you're
Or see
probably
them in
right.
April.
Which is going to feel like a very long time because it's, I guess, 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, if we get a bit more from Forshaw to kind of pad out, that would be really good. So, love to see Wilhelm Chaney, love to see Rumblo.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's Rumblo you're on about, isn't it?
Yeah, I need him. I've actually just I've picked up Carla recently, who I need to work on.
Like a nice little painting project, painting treat for yourself?
Yeah, well, and the fact that she'll play for the Halflings, and she's pretty good.
Yeah, controversial opinion time, but I think she might be a better choice than Deeproot now.
Yeah, I think
Does play the game
Deeproot
better.
has kind of fallen from grace, it seems, in the kind of Halfling community. But
Even with the
I spent
price,
so long on that model, I'm going to use it.
yeah, even with the price decrease, because he did get cheaper, it's still.
I think the thing is, he will still do what he's always done well.
Yeah.
It's just other players are maybe a bit more efficient now,
I mean,
or available even.
Ben, what was it you just said about her playing the game?
She plays the game better. Yeah, like you've already got 2 trees to smack things around, whereas you don't have someone to like.
Yeah, but
win.
this one doesn't take root.
Yeah.
And after last night's gaming, which I'll mention in a bit, that's a good skill to have.
Or not take root.
And come on, Mighty Blow +2 is really appealing. When I
her
played in that
ability is
game with
crazy.
on the YouTube with Ben,
Oh yeah.
and I took Deep Root when I think it was before the drop of the game actually. That Mighty Blow +2 really came in useful.
Actually, that's Mighty Blow +2. Although it doesn't feel massive, is gigantic. So who's got that? That's Tree Boy, Morg's got it, and I think
Death Roller?
no, I think Death Roller's got Dirty Player +2.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Which, just want to put it out there, combines brilliantly with the new Pile Driver skill, Piling On. Or Pile Driver. It is Pile Driver, isn't it?
Yeah, Power Driver.
Yeah, because you knock a dude down, so the Death Roller, Dirty Player +2, and Mighty Blow +1. You knock a guy down with Mighty Blow, follow up, then with the first skill up, you take Strength, then you take Pile Driver, and then you immediately make a foul at +2. And your dwarves, so you're gonna have guard, and guard works on fouls as well. So the Death Roller is going to be an incredible removal piece if you are willing to foul with it all the time.
I appreciate your optimism in trying to make the Death Roller work there. I really admire it.
I think you may as well foul with it because it's going to get sent off anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You're not really losing it.
You may as well double dip.
It's just, I mean, I know that old Ghost Girl is overcosted. There will be times where she performs brilliantly, though. There will be definitely times where that ghost walking into a cage and giving you that 1 die block is going to pay off.
I don't know, maybe that's the thing, isn't it? That they are a bit more specialised, some of these players. And like, there's some players you would happily take every game. Like we just said, Carla. She does kind of plays in every aspect of the game, really.
Yeah, that's fair. Carla is...
But
you could you just put her on the lineup every single time.
Yeah, but maybe Greta is just one that has that kind of ace matchup, but is kind of pretty crummy most of the time.
Yeah, I think that's probably all right. Right, talking about star players and run below and trees and things, let's bounce off and talk about hobby and games. Okay, it's hobby and games, and those of you that are watching on YouTube will see that I've got the replay of Ian's fumble match from last night up on the screen behind us. So why don't we start with?
Oh no!
Why don't we start with that, Ian? How did you do?
Yeah, I thought I was doing all right. So was playing against Necromantic team with Tim, who's a new guy to our club and our league.
I thought
really
you called him Necromantic Tim for a second.
Necromantic Tim.
Yeah. Necromantic Tim. I like that.
Got worse words than that.
Oh yeah.
No. He played really well, and to be fair, I think I did pretty well for the most part. But there was just we talked about it after the game, and there was kind of about 4 or 5 really crucial roles, which should have been, like it's the classic Blood Bowl, isn't it? Should have been an easy roll, but completely backfired. So I had so there was one blitz with Carla that was a double skull, and then a failed loner.
You were just talking about Carla as well.
I know how good she is. she behaved the rest of the game, to be fair.
She's got block as well, though, isn't it? Block and dodge.
Well, exactly. It's literally, if one of those dice had been anything else, it would have been fine. Then I had a tree man do a double skull block, re-rolled into a double skull. I had my agility 4 halfling just about to receive a handoff for a throw teammate. Roll a 1 to catch the handoff, re-rolled into a 1. When he needed a 2, just like loads of little bits like that. Just could have done without. There was a turn when they both took root at the same time.
Oh yeah, you sent a screenshot of that to the group, I think.
I was just like, okay, yeah, playing the dice here. But no, had a great time. And actually, the amazing thing about this halfling team, this league, is in the first game, Richard killed a tree man on game 1, in turn 1.
Was it literally turn 1 as well? Like the beginning of the league, you lost a tree?
1. Yes. But since then, touch wood, the injuries have been pretty kind and no one's actually picked up anything else. So
pretty good for a halfling team.
That's incredibly good for a halfling team.
You don't really mind losing with halflings. It's kind of just keeping the team going. That's half the battle. And actually, they've kind of got off quite lightly.
So
I got a throw teammate touchdown, so I was happy with that.
What was that? Was that your touchdown in the game? What was the final score?
Yeah, 2-1.
All right. So Ben, halflings versus Necro. What would your prediction for that game be?
Probably 3-1.
Yeah, I would have bet a bigger, like a 2-0 or a 3-1 or something. So you've done well.
I think the one, because like Ian said, the cheeky throw teammate, it can't be done.
Yes,
yeah.
I felt like that's the thing. I didn't ever feel I was out of the game. It was just those couple of moments which just, when it goes wrong and you're kind of relying on that line of dominoes to fall, and knock on, it kind of exposes a big weak point and you lose it.
Whoa, so you got a guy sent off fouling in turn 1. Then Big Sue's knocked out and destroyed Nathan. Big Sue's. Yeah. But by that time, Ian, you'd knocked out Super Hans.
Yeah, that was great.
With Carla.
So that was the other thing to say about Tim's team. They're all named after Peep Show characters.
Yeah.
So I had a good laugh at that, to be honest.
Of course, yeah. Dobby, of course. I forgot.
There was
Big Sue's, Osborne, Sophie's mum, Jeff,
Sophie's mum, that's
Johnson,
the one I was thinking of, yeah.
Tony, Jerry, and then your tree person, Jude.
Yeah, good old fumble-generated names. We've got like Jude and what's the other one called? Like Elijah or something.
I don't know. I love the names. I love the random naming. I think it's fantastic.
Elijah Wood is actually a pretty good name for a tree man.
Elijah Wood, yeah.
Oh, that is. No, this one was Devin Gawain.
Oh, yeah, that was him.
Was Elijah Wood the one that died in?
Who knows? He's long forgotten. He's compost now.
No, that was wicked. So how are you doing in the Fumble League so far? We're 3 games in now. We've got a little wobble league.
Yeah,
on
I
the go.
think kind of middling. So I'm kind of there's 3 people below me with no wins, and then I think I'm bottom of the 1 wins. So I've got a win, which was that week 1 versus Tomb Kings, which was hilarious.
Oh
So,
yeah,
you know,
that was
probably paying for my luck in that game, to be honest, for the rest of the league
that
now.
was a proper job of that one, Ian. To be fair, you gotta love the halfling. You gotta love the stunty upset. Whenever it happens, no matter what's going on, it's just so good, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I had a great one last week with Milton with the Spritonians, and this one particular, I decided to, for some reason, I don't really know why, but I was up for a laugh, so I took Cindy Pie Whistle.
Oh yeah, that was excellent.
And threw a pie/bomb at one of his blitzers, who caught it and threw it at my ball carrier, and it hit my dream man and knocked him down.
And then a straight blitz onto the ball carrier.
Yeah,
that was a bit of a ransacking. That was
hilarious.
All right,
you got to laugh.
So the Hampshire Hoggers there, 3 points, 3 touchdowns scored, 4 against, 3 casualties scored, 6 against. Not bad.
Oh no,
Seventh in the league.
At the stats yesterday, and your casualties, man.
Honestly, I think it's just the way I play Blood Bowl. Because
I was in 9.
Well, if you think about my Skaven tabletop team, where they're like plus 40 something touchdowns, but also minus 40 casualties or something all time, like it's absolutely incredible. So yeah, conversely, I'm running Slan, totally OP, and yeah, I've had 4 casualties scored and 9 casualties against, and my guys are strength 3, armor 8, and don't have stunty. Ian's strength 2, armor 6 with stunty, and he's had less casualties scored against him than I have. Oh wow, Elven Union though. What? Wait, when did that happen? I didn't realise he'd had 11 casualties scored against him.
Yeah, his team. He's got. So there's is it 1 or 2 agility 3 elves he's running at the moment?
2, yeah. 2 line minus 1 edge.
And then a minus movement, maybe, I think it is.
He's got a plus movement blitzer and a plus movement catcher. I did miss next game his catcher, so I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Cool. So am I. I've got him next.
Oh, fantastic. So I'm doing well. I've been very lucky with my Slan so far. I'm second at the moment with 3 wins, 8 touchdowns, 4, 6 against, 4 casualties, 4 and 9 against. So, and I think I got Richard Price this week or next week with his human team, Dave's All Stars. That'll be cool.
It'll be interesting. So humans obviously really kind of solid all rounders. So
yeah, got guard on the Croxagore, got accurate on a catcher because this is 2016 rules. So having edge 4 and accurate means a 1+ quick pass. So hoping to just move that ball around. Got a guard catcher, but he's also lost a movement. So, but still 2+ leap anywhere to get that guard into place should be pretty good.
Yeah, that's really handy actually.
And
good to have mobility on that.
Yeah, and then Damien has got dodge, another one of my catches, and I've taken kick on a lineman.
Always solid.
Yeah, good. I did think of you, Ben. I was like, do I go for block? Do I go for wrestle? Or do I just get kick? Because actually, kick with Slan is going to be pretty good.
Kick wins games.
Yeah, but I think he's got kick as well. Dave's All Stars. He's got kick. So that's going to be an interesting game. I don't know if I like the matchup there. I think humans have got enough bash to murder me and enough dash to finish off the job. He's running 2 catches as well.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's got an ogre, actually. No, just 4 blitzers.
Okay. So actually, you're kind of on par strength and you've got the Crocs.
I do have the Crocs, so hopefully the Crocs and some guard will keep me safe. But really, the one to beat at the moment is that Chaos Dwarf team.
Oh, yeah. I feel like they're just going to
rampage through.
Plod along in the league, winning by 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
And just win.
5 TDs for, 2 TDs against, 3 casualties for, and 1 against. So not doing great on casualties. I've caused more casualties than that Chaos Dwarf team so far.
Wow, to be fair, it's hard to score casualties when everyone's stood with 1 square gap between you. Just and you get 1 blitz a turn.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the absolute plan. But it's been cool to see Bretonians in there as well. I mean, I know that they are going bye-bye. Milton's had some fun running them around. Now he's got his movement 8 dodging blitzer.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. I had a good game against him last week. Well, that wasn't my first game. I think my first game was against him. Good fun. It's great to get some. It's great to get some fumble on the go. Anyway,
yeah, it's been really good. Like I had listened to your games the other night, and it was really good. I recommend if people are out there who are like, maybe missing club night, have some fumble games and get together, because I thought it was really good fun. It was really nice to chat. I'm not partaking in this one personally. I've got some life stuff going on, but it's been really fun to listen and watch the league develop.
That PS5, man.
Hey, I'll come to that in games, but it's not a new job this week. I can use that as an
let's lead straight into that. Ben, what games have you been playing?
Yeah, I have acquired games consoles, and I'm just sitting in isolation, having my controller rather than playing with my friends. But it's been fine. Sometimes it's nice to have a change of pace.
It's awesome. Well, yeah. I don't know. You went to great lengths to get hold of it.
There is a story there. Maybe one day I'll tell it. I'm less embarrassed about it.
Once we know the heat's cooled down.
Yeah.
Well, I could say it's not illegal. Let's clarify that. It's the wrong impression.
It's definitely not illegal.
Maybe. No.
But if anyone needs a PS5, I do hear that car parks are the best place to pick them up.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, fantastic. Wicked. So,
let the conspiracy theories go, at least.
Everyone's been too busy buying stocks, so I think we'll probably be okay. Stonks. It's pretty funny to hear that whole situation. I mean, crazy. Right, so hobby. This is kind of the hobby episode. So, Mr. Bloodtithe, other than legitimately buying PlayStations, what have you been doing hobby-wise?
I've been working pretty much mainly on my old scrap launcher, which I can't remember if I was working on this when we last recorded. I might have started it. It's coming along. It's nearly done. It's actually showing up on camera, which is very strange for what it usually does. It's a real heck of a project, though. Basically like an ogre team without the ogres. Instead, you've got a vehicle, but you've got like 8 noblars to paint. And it's been fun. It's just taking a long time, and it's starting to get to that point with this army where it's getting a little bit burnout.
Oh no!
Nearing the end, but it's still fun. It's still fun. I might have to switch it up a little bit though. Maybe paint something fleshy.
What?
Like ogres?
Like an entire army of ogres in a short space of time?
No, I mean just because the vehicle part is getting a bit dreary. I don't really like painting like armored stuff very much. I'm more of a fan of painting like flesh. So,
I don't have a picture to put on the screen right now. I'll see if I can remember to put it in when I edit it. But the giant bone bits of the scrap launcher, Ben, you've done an incredible job with that. Like,
I don't know if they show up. Will they show up? Yeah, they might show up.
Yeah, that's not bad. Like, it looks
watching a video.
It looks exactly like the kind of thing you could pick up in a gift shop for £7-8.
I think that's one of my reference images. Actually, it was like one of those like fake like tusks.
Brilliant.
It does look really good. Like that's, as I think Sam was talking about that in our group chat as well, wasn't he? He was like, that bone just looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
If you kind of zoomed in and looked at it out of context, I think you'll be hard pressed to tell it wasn't actual bone.
See, that's
if you took a square of texture sort of thing, and I think that's amazing, really.
Oh, thank you.
That's just doing it too well, though, isn't it?
Yeah. so realistic it's unrealistic.
Yeah,
like- it's like-
there's a little bit of that because the rest of it doesn't really fit into that kind of style. So it's but it's been fun.
No, it's absolutely brilliant. The ogre army looks fantastic. I love the basing. The basing's classic Bloodtithe burn over the top, but no cobwebs this time, which I think is probably good for your mental health. Because
more like lung health. It's breathing that in. That's horrible.
Were you using the spider serum stuff?
Yeah, you spray it through the airbrush and it literally turns your room into cobwebs.
You came out looking like Frodo.
Yeah.
I love it. So, Ian, what about you, man? What have you been hobbying? Because you're a bit of a hobby machine most of the time. So,
Thanks. Yeah, actually, randomly, just been diving headlong into Warcry at the moment.
oh yeah, saw that.
So recently, kind of got my Gloomspite Gits AOS army to a point that I'm happy with, sort of 2,000 plus points. So
No such
just
thing
waiting
as a
for-
finished army, honestly.
Oh no, it's not finished. It's like the pause button basically. I've got bits to do, still bits in the cupboard. So, but you know, it's at the point where if someone said at some point when it's available, do you want a game? Then I could just take them out for a game, and that's like a good place to have them, I think.
That is really good. When you're just ready to go with something, anything, whether it's a team or an army, and you've just got it ready to play. That's pretty
So, I
satisfying.
mean, not necessarily the most efficient use of points or anything like that, but it's all the stuff I liked and wanted to paint. So
Yeah, I don't think
I think
Grot's.
it's the good thing with Warcry. It doesn't really matter. Like just you know, it's so like sandboxy.
And it's pretty swingy with game mechanics as well, isn't it? Because really just whoever rolls the most sixes in one go.
what's this Warcry?
Yeah.
Oh, so I've got the Splintered Fang gang.
That's the kind of Trojan snake people.
Yeah, they're a really kind of cool mishmash of cultures, really, kind of looking at them. So I've kind of really wanted to go for kind of a lot kind of darker skin tones and test out some different recipes and things like that. So I think I mentioned in our group chat, I shared as well some of Tyler Mengel's Mengel Miniatures skin recipes. So kind of really inspired by them. So definitely worth a check out if you want. He's got loads of cool like tutorials. And then kind of going with a really polished gold. So I've finished one test model, and then I've kind of got the rest to a pretty good point. So I just need to go
Looks
through
really
and
nice.
do some highlights on them now.
It reminds
then-
me of sorry, it reminds you of Escher, like the Necromunda Escher gang, with what you've
Yeah.
done with them.
So they've got like the big spiky hair and
Mm.
coming up, which is it's sort of like plumes, but it's also their hair as well. So I've kind of gone for like dyed tips.
Oh, cool guy tips.
Cool guy tips, yeah. It's like being back in the 90s boy band era.
I thought it would just be like it's like when I was at a boy band in the 90s.
Yeah. I loved Poison. And then actually I had a bit of a terrain binge the other day. Just I'd been picking up the Mortal Realms magazines with some of the Warcry terrain and some of the AOS terrain.
Oh,
'Cause, you know-
that's where you got the terrain from.
Our local shop stocks them, and every now and then when I'm in there, I see it, and I'm like, I can't not buy that kit for $7.99 because that's outrageous
good.
value.
Oh, it's that cheeky pocket money level, isn't it?
Yeah, and I kind of didn't know what I was going to do with it, and then suddenly kind of really got into Warcry and thought this is perfect. So just built it all, and then I've dug out some of my old Azerite ruins that I had based up, but they got a bit bashed around. So I'm going to give them some TLC, and pretty much got enough for a game now, I think.
That's brilliant.
That is really cool. Warcry is definitely something I'd like to have a go at. I think the mechanics are quite swingy, but I think that's quite fun.
I think
it looks really casual and fun. It just like watch a few games because it's really like. What are you saying?
swingy isn't too bad when it's quite a short game.
Yeah.
If it's kind of swingy and it's a 2-hour game and you're just getting pounded, it's not fun at all.
Yeah, and it
AOS.
alternates as well. So because it's got the alternating units, like if one's swingy, you still get a chance to hit back. Like it's not like
Yeah, you don't just
you
get
can have
wiped.
a swingy turn and your army's gone.
And I think
Yeah.
that from what I've seen, anything can do damage to anything with with a bit of luck. So it's very beer and pretzels, I think. But then saying that, I picked up the Tome of Champions book the other day and sort of was reading that last night, and the narrative stuff is amazing, really good.
So is that the campaign book?
Yeah. So it's got loads of extra campaigns that you can like pick for your gang to do, but then it's also got like a set one within this particular city, like Sorath Core, I think it's called. And then a load of other, like, there's some co-op modes and things you can do as well. So there's just loads of ways to play it. So I'm really up for that.
I've got my game against James on in the background just to have something entertaining going on in the back, and that was the bit where he did a cheeky pass and it went off the pitch and it just got thrown back into one of my guys for a run-in touchdown. That was very entertaining. Sorry, I got completely distracted then.
Diving catch.
Yeah, with diving catch. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. There we go, take that. But no, would you think a campaign book like that would work for... sound effects aren't necessary. Let's turn that off. Would work for Blood Bowl?
Well, I think we've talked a little bit about how we would approach solo Blood Bowl before, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
So I think actually that would be a really good place for it, because you could really kind of give character to the sort of AI, for lack of a better word, teams, and kind of really mix it up with the cool stadiums. And actually, I mean, even playing a real opponent, actually, I think the Necromantic Spike that came out,
I love that
inspired
one.
a lot of us, seeing the particular league rules there. That was really cool.
Yeah, I know that. So we've talked about it a couple of times before, Ben, as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
League settings.
Yeah, I'd love just the theme stuff like that. And I think I remember one we talked about quite a long time ago was like, sponsorships and stuff, and having that kind of ongoing in the background with like these different like organizations sponsoring you, and it affects your team in different ways and things like that. And the attention of various brands.
Yeah, there's almost like kind of pushing the roleplay aspect a little bit more.
Yeah, but more narrative is pretty good angle. And I like Warcry because the game time is like, what, 35, 40 minutes?
Yeah, it's not long at all, yeah.
So it's kind of in the sevens gameplay. I think it's probably quicker than sevens, isn't it?
I think the game, yeah.
There we go.
Probably longer when you consider like setting up the terrain and stuff like that. But...
And then doing the silly card things.
There's a lot of stuff you can do preset if you've got the stuff. Or I was looking at the kind of roll your own terrain, and it's pretty much just roll a dice, add this, that's how much terrain you get, put it down. And it's such a small board too, so...
Yeah. Is it a kill team size board?
I love the board size.
Yeah. / Argos pinboard.
Yeah, that I would love to do. Is if we do end up playing some more Warcry when the world reopens, then I can definitely see just making up a little Warcry board, because the pitch size is just perfect. It is basically, it's just cool. I love that. So Ian's been doing all the hobby. Ben's been carrying on with his projects. I've been very good this week. I've painted a lot more of my Black Orc team. I did a painting stream. Good. Thanks, man. Did a painting stream for a few hours.
Nice battered gold kind of thing, isn't there, going on?
Yeah, nice bronze, really nice. Bit of red, got a bit of pop on the go. So actually pretty close. I've done what you've done, Ian, and I want to talk about this when we do go into the painting team colours bit, because I've done all like the block colours and everything like that. And there's a couple of questions I want to ask you about, like the best way to paint big batches of miniatures. And this is the cool thing about having both of you guys on the podcast, is you are both big time painters, to the point of whether you are just loving life, experimenting with stuff, buying weird tech and techniques, definitely not looking at you here, Ben, or just binging an unnecessary amount of miniatures in a hyperbolic time chamber element space of time. Well, that's both of you, actually. This is both of you. Ben just shows off on stream while doing it.
I could lock myself into a room for 24 hours and I'd take it.
I'm sure that having two kids, you just sleep for some of that point, Ian.
Yes, I would, yeah. Probably just
I don't think Ian sleeps.
To be honest.
No, I don't think Ian sleeps, actually. Maybe he sleeps in the day, like when the kids have nap time, he has nap time too.
He was supposed to paint update at like 12:30 a.m. and then it'll be like 5 a.m. He'll send a message in the WhatsApp group and just be like, what are you guys thinking?
Oh yeah, but so does Ian Triplo. Like every now and again you'll get a reply at like 4:30, 3:30. I'm like, oh, Kids.
Yeah, kids awake.
Yes.
Oh, it's a dad thing.
I think it might be. I think I've got a few years.
I wouldn't serve this till 9.
Yeah. Sweet. So we've done a bunch of hobby, got some games in, got some fumbling, which is pretty sweet. Ben acquired a PlayStation 5, which is pretty cool. I'm sure
Through
this is
absolutely legitimate means. I want to stress.
The more you say it, the worse it sounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would we bring it up on the podcast if it was every bit as illegal as we're hinting, Ben? And moving on to our first topic. And we're back, and what we're going to be doing now is looking at our top picks for our Paintuary painting challenge, basically. We've got 3, genres? Is that the 3 categories? Categories. Categories. 3 categories. And we're going to do... Keith Lemon. We're going to get some sci-fi, we've got some fantasy, and we've got some Blood Bowl, and we had absolutely tons of entries, so it was awesome to see all the work that you guys have done. If you're not sure, you didn't know about this, every Wednesday we do a little hobby roundup called Whip Wednesday. So if you are working on something that you think is cool and you want to share it with everybody, then drop us an email at theboneheadpodcast@gmail.com and we'll have a look at it together. And it's been really good fun the last few months. So if you're working on something, to just see it develop over weeks and weeks and weeks. But what we've got here are some absolutely fantastic quality projects that people have been working on. Now, when we said about the painting challenge, we didn't really give stringent, we're looking for the best this, we're looking for the best this. And that's the cool thing about having all 3 of us on here, and Oscar being the judge adjudicator. That's a unit from AOS.
I know, it's Space Marine now, I think.
Yeah, it might be a Space Marine. Same thing. So he's going to go through each of our top 3 and basically pick an overall winner for each of those categories. But I'm going to be looking for something different than Ben's going to be looking for, and Ben's going to be looking for something potentially different than what Ian's going to be looking for. I like interesting stuff and just creativity, because I am not a pro painter. So
That's not to say our choice is boring.
No, Ian's choice is boring.
I like boring.
I look for effort potentially the most. Ian looks for unnecessary use of multiple paints, and Ben looks for verdigris, I think.
That's pretty much it.
Right. Without further ado, let's go have a look at our top 3 for the sci-fis. And we have got you up first, Ian. I'm going to gently fade it into the screen. Here we go. So, Ian, your sci-fi pick, what did you go for?
Yeah, so I picked this awesome Blade Guard from Silver Templar, from the Silver Templars chapter. Yeah,
strong on theme there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, he's really into his kind of role there.
He's committed.
It does throw me when I see him post, Lord of the Rings or something. But...
Oh, that's just not allowed.
No, honestly, I think just kind of looking at it, it's kind of stylistically, there's kind of a real heavy metal, or heavy metal, should I say?
Yeah.
Kind of quality to it. But actually, looking further, and it's one of these where you've got to spend a bit of time zooming in. Just the effort.
All right, I'll zoom in. Here we go.
To get that kind of the chipping and the paint scratches, and even across the symbol on the tilting shield, just getting that and kind of blending in the kind of scratch highlights and things like that. I really like that. I also just really like looking at his face. It's kind of a real focal point, and kind of bringing in those reds and purples around the middle.
Yeah.
Just really well done.
I love this. I love the little effects to the yellows, and this little breast shield thing that would definitely be used for jousting. Really lovely. But that face, that skin tone, I mean, I talk about this a lot when I fail at paint streams and stuff, or when I do Whip Wednesday, but this isn't painting a miniature. This is a great example of painting on a miniature. Yep. If there was no texture to that face, that would still look like a really good face, because you've got the painted depth and the painted raised bits. This is really, really, really sweet. I mean, Ben, anything on this one that we haven't picked up on so far, do you reckon?
Yeah, I love this. Like Ian covered like the weathering. It's also stuff like the shield itself. Like it's got sort of the light marbling effect.
Yeah, the white shield.
Which is just it's just like you say, it's really nice. It's like really cleanly done, but also looking heavily weathered, which is really difficult to do.
The thing is, just finally as well, like you guys have been saying, really, the fact that kind of when you look at the model, a lot of it is silver. You know, it's a silver Templars, but actually, it's everything else around that that
makes
really
it pop.
shines. Like, and you don't look at it and think that just looks like a silver miniature.
Yeah,
You see everything else.
that's a yellow and white
it's-
miniature.
Exactly, it's in a really good like harmony. Nothing's kind of overpowering. It's I imagine it's really easy when you're painting kind of a metallic Space Marine just to have it looking like a silver Space Marine.
Well, I mean,
But
it's just
this
a
is so much more.
spray can of silver and some Agrax, and you're done.
Yeah, I think he's gone a few steps further, thankfully.
Yeah, this is awesome. So this is the Silver Templar by the Silver Templar from the Silver Templars chapter, and that's Ian's sci-fi pick. Ben, I think I've got yours loaded up next.
Yep. So for me,
yeah,
I've chosen this Inquisitor and his cheruby friend. I think the Inquisitorial Executioner from Slow Painter Loz. Yeah, I think this is just awesome. Like, I'm a big fan of the Inquisition in general within 40k. I think they're really.
It's ironic given your role as a rogue trader, but okay.
One of those order heritage kids that's crossed the line.
No, me. I love the law. I love the. You and your archaeotech. No, sorry, Ben. Carry on.
Yeah, well, I love the. If you're unfamiliar with them, have a look at some of the lore behind the Inquisition because they're just absolutely crazy, and you can explore so much with it. I think is it like Inq 28 is like the role playing game, which sort of explores that whole side of it, which kind of like birth like the whole like Blanchitsu kind of thing amongst.
I think that's just based on the game Inquisitor that Games Workshop dropped.
It's scaled down to 20.
Yeah.
But it's become a kind of a movement rather than a game.
Yeah.
I think you called it there, Ben. Blanchitsu. So John Blanche was one of the original artists for Warhammer 40,000, and it's all weird. It's all grimdark. It's all kind of steampunk meets Geiger. So it's like a mixture of Aliens 2 and just steampunk and cyberpunk.
That's iconic.
It's just brown and dirty. And the cool thing I like about this miniature, because I think it's a great pick, Ben, is it looks like a painting. And you can see the robes where you've got they've painted texture on, and it's a great mixture of like the earthy tones and the dirt and the metal and things like that, and the white and the purple and that blue on the handle just absolutely pops. And the guy's eyes are horrifically scary. Like,
they're really. So he's done a really good job of kind of like making them look like bruised almost. It's like two really bruised, dark, brooding eyes. It's amazing. The texture on the leather, I think, is the thing that really caught me. So he's wearing like a brown leather cloak, and it looks like skin. Like it looks like
it does.
He's just literally taken some skin, and the color that he's used on it, where you've kind of got like you can see like sort of blues and greens and stuff mixed in there. I think it's just expertly done. The light is incredible. Like, he shaded the cloak. It's not just like he's painted all the shading in. It's not just the trick of the light, and it's just really, really nicely done. I love this style.
I'm really glad you picked this one actually because I do know Loz, so it was kind of one of those. I want to see it do really well.
Oh, this is your painting coach who abuses you.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. My Lawrence.
Oh, if I'd known that, I would have picked him as well.
It's going to be enough. So I'm a bit low to say nice things about it, but no, I think out of all the miniatures, for me, this is the one that tells the story the most.
Yeah, 100%.
And actually, kind of just when you kind of draw attention to it, it's maybe not obvious straight away, but if you look at the front of the base, there's the blood splatter,
and it goes up the cloak as well, which is pretty amazing.
And then if you look on the hammer, he's actually just you've got that kind of story there. He's just doled out an execution, and he's kind of standing back now.
Yeah, there's like a tiny little bit of like extra like sort of viscera hanging off the helmet. A small amount, but enough to know that he's done it recently.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, there's
cool.
a real story here, I think, and that kind of that cherub. Look at his face. Seriously, zoom in.
It's just horrible.
It's kind
Creeping out. It's super creepy.
Can we do it? Can we zoom out? Can we zoom out? I don't know if we can actually.
Something good about Twitter actually is the photos are really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, for anyone who gets a chance to look at that cherub, it is a work of art, and the hourglass, the reflections on there, really, really top.
Yeah, I agree with that. The parchments are sweet as well, with the little tiny text on his.
Yeah,
on
I
his
think
cloak.
there's a side profile view, and like the lighting, like how it's got the parchment look on the cloak.
Oh, he's
where it
painted a
looks proper,
shadow.
like, raised.
He's painted a shadow of the seal. Oh man,
yeah, that might be my favourite part.
That is next level. That's beyond levels. This guy's playing Total War 3 while we're just battling Romans. That's
Hey, but I've got Rome too.
Yeah, right. But is there Kislev in it though, Ian?
You're right. No, this is awesome.
Oh, that is very, very
well
cool.
Well done, Loz.
Cool. So I believe I am next with my sci-fi entry, and at some point here I have got it. So I went with the Prince of Crows, who did a bit for Adeptus Titanicus, and it's a Warhound Titan. So I love AT. In fact, I've got some teeny tiny Space Marines right here that I printed and have yet to paint, because it needs to be, because the 40k universe is just like amazing. The story there, there's so much to explore. But the reason I love this is just the painted quality is fantastic. It's a very simple paint scheme, but really well executed. There's great detail. You got cool burn on the guns and things like that. This is a vehicle of war. It's a war engine, but there's like a cool street lamp on the base. The base is all done to be destroyed, and there are teeny tiny. They're not even Space Marines. I think they're actually Imperial Guard or like the Auxilia troops on the base as well. So you've got this Warhound Titan walking around. It's AT scale, so it's, don't know, the size of a dreadnought. They're 40k dreadnought. It's the size of a bigger than most things in Blood Bowl. But there are these two little 6mm scale snipers hiding in ruins at the feet of the miniature.
That guy on his comm link there, got his hand up to his.
I don't know if I
can't tell if he's just holding the gun. I'm not sure.
That's the thing when it's small scale. So
anyway, I'm sure he wouldn't hear anything.
I love this. I love the scheme. It's well executed. The gold shines. The red edges, they glow. But it's got that beautiful kind of almost sort of knightliness, like regal. Like the livery, the colours are bright, it's all clean, but it is literally against this background of destruction and terror and more grimdark. Like, this is the knight riding through the graveyard, and I just think it's absolutely awesome. Love the detail. Love the detail on this.
I think just they've really, really captured the sense of scale, which I think is something really hard to do. With Titanicus, when you see a model out of context, when it's not stood next to its terrain and a load of other kind of differently sized Titan, to kind of capture that on the base and kind of contain within one model is really cool.
And
another thing to draw attention to is just that the muzzle burn on the flaming weapon. I won't pretend to be an expert here. It looks like a big flamer.
It's an Inferno cannon, I think. I'm not entirely sure myself, but it is a massive flamer. A massive Titan level flamer. So that is cool. So those are our top 3 sci-fi picks. And we will send those off to Oscar. So thank you so much and congratulations to those 3 pieces. Don't get me wrong though, there was a ton more to pick from.
This whole thing's got me feeling awful. There's so many that deserve it.
There was
maybe at the end we can do a big gallery or something.
We should definitely do that. But I've got to have one tiny honorary mention because Ben Davey, who we had on 10 episodes ago, Ben, when we talked about the teams, the winners and losers, he painted some Titans, and they were also beautiful. I had like a cool Mars basing, and like the whole legs were weathered up. It just looked absolutely sweet. So yeah, Titans, big robots, big stompy robots. Who knew? You know what? No Battlefleet Gothic ships entered. That would have just been an auto win, I think, for me. It would have just been like,
Remember that next time.
there you go. Yeah, for the next one, Battlefleet Gothic.
The next, yeah, I put a tanks category in the next one.
Oh, I love tanks. I love tanks. Do you guys remember the World of Tanks adverts that they had?
Was Arnie on that?
It was
No,
just
he was on
TV adverts.
something.
And World of Tanks, they would just like have this little family like having a picnic, and then this massive tank just drives through their picnic, and the dad and the boy are just there like looking at it going, I love tanks. It's just so good. It's just the most Ben thing imaginable. It just makes me so happy. If I've had a bad day, put that on, I'm just like, yeah, I love tanks. Anyway, on to that. I do love tanks though. Right, let's move on. What have we got next? That's another picture of the Warhound. That's another picture of the Warhound. That is also the Warhound. That is the
We get it. You like the Warhannam.
reverse of the Warhound. Okay. Next up, we've got your fantasy pick, Ian.
Yes. So on to the fantasy category, we've got HD, and this is a Troggle from Warplock Miniatures. I do really like Warplock Miniatures.
Yeah, they've
I remember them back in the early days when
Salute.
Warseer was still a thing. Kind of seeing that kind of company form, and just such characterful models. And HD has done just an incredible job bringing it to life. And I think just kind of looking at it, the kind of word I want to use, and I'm not an artist, particularly.
Oh, here we go.
But a real softness to it.
Oh.
There's almost like, I don't know how to describe it, like halcyon kind of appearance to it, where it's just kind of dreamy.
It looks like an illustration.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and kind
It
of
reminds me a lot of Labyrinth.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably just the nose, though.
Troggle, and there was like Huggle in there, wasn't there, or something?
Yeah.
But yeah, just look at the textures he's achieved on the little mushrooms, the rock itself, just like that really kind of light mossing effect.
The rock is awesome, and I don't just mean the guy who just bought the XFL. This painted rock here, it looks so natural, and yeah, I think you're right, Ian. I think that the mushrooms are sweet as well. So it's this weird little gerbil thing that is just chilling out on a rock. I'm going to assume it's a unit in the game. Oh, he sculpted the rock. There's actually pictures of the green stuff, and he sculpted the butterfly.
Yeah, that's incredible. That butterfly, yeah.
That is
Obviously,
a absolute top job.
Yeah, the wing pattern there. Just
Yeah.
like everything has this amazing texture to it.
This looks like so much. This looks like an absolute joy to paint.
Yeah, it kind of makes me want to get one actually, and look at the company a bit more, because I know they do some amazing stuff.
Wow.
But seeing it painted by other people, I think just makes you think about it a bit more and kind of
What can you do
see
with
it.
it? Do you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
He did actually say a fun little model, a joy to paint.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they said really enjoy it, extended the base out. So Ben, this has got some proper basing on there as well.
Yeah, it's just the use of color. Like it's the real, like he said, just the weathering, the mossiness of the rock compared to the guy himself. Yeah, he just stands out from the base, and the base itself looks fantastic. You basically got like two little scenes here. I just think it's so cute. I love it.
It is really cute. So that is brilliant. That's HD. And next up, oh, it's a Nazgul. BT,
Yeah.
I think this is you.
So I've got the Nazgul here as my pick. I think this is really clever because there are not that many colors that this person has used on this model, but it just looks great out of the movie. And like the way they've shaded the wings to be like to really stand out, just with like different gradients of sort of like black to grey, but also putting in a little bit of like sort of sepia sort of beige in there to kind of make it looks more alive. With like the veins running down it, I just think it's really cleverly done because I mean I've got this model and I don't know how to paint it because it's like you look at an Nazgul and it's like all black, but then this is just a masterclass in how to do it.
So is this the one that comes in the Pelennor box?
I believe it is, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So
Yeah, so you get the option of the Witch King or a normal
Yeah.
Nazgul.
and all
But
that-
yeah, I think you're quite right that it's black, but actually when you break down black, there's so many kind of different tones and things you can do within black, isn't there? So
mean,
you've kind of got that kind of more.
I always had a lot
muddy-
of respect
You've got
for the Black Templars players out there. I had a lot of respect for the Dark Angels pre-heresy guys, but this is just 50 Shades of Black. That's fantastic. But yeah, I think Ben, you called it with the veins and the spot highlighting that just makes it look like it's come. It's funny. This may sound a little bit derogatory to the movies, but it looks like the CGI in the movies. Like it's just got that.
It does. It's properly captured the Nazgul from the films, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, that is
Exactly what you think of it.
Love to face down against that.
So
Yeah.
let's talk very, very quickly. How have they achieved that effect on the wings? Then is that just, what do you think? Is that airbrush? Is that just constant
guess that's
dry
airbrush.
brushing?
I guess it's airbrushed with the veins painted on. Yeah, it's the really sort of smooth transitions you get, which you can get with the dry brush for sure. But looking at this one, it's so smooth. I think probably airbrushed.
And some lovely edge highlighting on the cloak. That is, yeah, that's really well done.
Really nice. It's so the texture difference with the cloak as well is another good way to like breaking up the black using different textures.
Yeah.
You got the body of the Nazgul is quite rough, and then you can have a smooth cloak, and it just differentiates the model rather than making it blend into one.
Do you know what? This kind of looks like something you could pay £155 from at Forbidden Planet in a.
Yeah, it does.
Like this looks like one of those.
Up from £7 gift shop. Come on, Ben.
If it was a black horn, then maybe.
Yeah, like one of those kind of wetter workshop kind of models that they do. That produce,
Yeah, this goes on the shelf next to your Batleth. That's top praise. That is fantastic. That's the Nazgul for fantasy, and then naturally I went for the giant.
Oh yes.
So Turtle Timbo says meet Bardo Storm Surge, Kraken Eater, and Son of Behemat. Fear his wrath. So we talked about this miniature before because we were like, can we get this for Blood Bowl? Like, can we fit this into Blood Bowl? And I still one day will fit it into Blood Bowl. But I mean, I don't know what else to say about this. There's just 1,000 details. It's a giant. The skin is amazing. The gammy eye is fantastic. And when you zoom in, you can kind of see the layers, which is, it's just that painting on a miniature again. And it pops, and it's designed to pop from 2 feet away on the tabletop. And each of these layers has been executed brilliantly. But I mean, Ian, you've painted one of these.
I have, yes.
And did it in like 4 days, which was
not quite.
Absolutely not. But it wasn't far off.
4 days worth of hours, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. But there's just 1,000 details, and time has been spent on each one of them, including the seagull, to just make them stand out. I mean, the seagull's even got poop stains. That's just commitment. I don't think I could ever paint a miniature this size and put this much work into it, because this must be a mammoth of a painting task. But it's kind of a cheat to choose this miniature because it is a giant miniature with about 27 individual miniatures stuck onto it and on the base. And you got tattoos, you've got 1,000 different colours, you've got purple, green, blue, brown, you've got scales. He's done scales beautifully well as well. Like there's a bit of fish or something tied to his belt. And
I was gonna extra mention the tattoos as well. I think I might be completely wrong, but that kind of tattoo really ties into the nautical like Kraken Eater. Like it's the sort of thing you'd see. Is it kind of like Viking maybe? Like
I'd say Greek.
Greek, yeah. But like I can picture it along boats for some reason.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is nautical, definitely like coastal.
Yeah.
And looking at the base details as well, you kind of got the treasure, got some sort of meat product. Is that
meat product?
I think like I say, having painted one of these, like knowing what goes into it, and for him to do that so well and consistently. And I think special shout out to the skin, because
Yeah. Oh yeah.
for such a big model, that is really hard to do.
I mean,
Get that kind of soft shading that doesn't look blocky. It kind of all just really blends in well. So fair play. It's almost hard to find the words because there's so much to take in, isn't there? Like, you could spend a long time looking at this.
I am a huge fan of these miniatures, but yeah, this is an army in one miniature, like, and that's just absolute extra props. Well, I know, but for me, this is an army's worth of painting on one guy. And that is just something that takes a special bit of consideration. I mean, I painted the Windsor Chog Giant, which is got to be barely half the size of this guy, and definitely, although an incredible miniature that is now currently out of production, was just a joy to paint, and it has 1,000 bits on it. But this is just laden with bits, gubbins everywhere. So that's sweet. So those were our fantasy top 3.
Before we move on, sorry, I'm gonna just say, I don't know if we said, for my Nazgul, that was submitted by Phil Trim, so thank you. I'm not sure if you mentioned the name.
Right on, Ben. Yeah, thank you. We missed that one. Cool. So those 3 fantastic top 3 for fantasy, and being that we are a Blood Bowl podcast, let's move on to the Blood Bowl entries. And first up, we've got Ripper.
Yes, so we've got Jim Bob. This was my pick, Ripper Bullgrot. And yeah, I think just this model is kind of one that you can enjoy from kind of any distance, because kind of when you look at it, it's so impactful. Kind of just looking at the kind of color variations on the skin in particular, and how it kind of blends from the belly back to the kind of scales and skin, and then kind of down to the nose, the ears, like really, really smooth and really naturalistic. But then at the same time,
masterclass in color.
it's incredible. I zoom in and look at his belt buckle, for example.
Oh wow, I hadn't even noticed that.
Like that looks like a piece of art on its own, to be honest. That skull, just seeing the kind of light verdigris kind of around the outside, the shading on that, and then I think this, to me, I think being a classic model as well.
It is a classic model, and you can
really
tell.
Just captures the model, doesn't it?
You can tell from the casting quality of the chainmail on the fist. It's not what we've currently come to expect, but it doesn't lack in any way because of it. The painting makes up for the fact that it's a 30-year-old miniature or whatever.
He makes it work because the gauntlet is instead incredibly heavily rusted, which kind of hides that, and it works in its favor.
It's dirty.
And I think another thing to draw out is that kind of thin line of vomit just coming out of his mouth there.
Yeah. How do you notice that? Every time you point something out, I find something new.
I've spent a long time looking at these pictures and zooming in and just really trying to take it in. It's kind of a learning opportunity, just looking at them and thinking, I've never tried that, but I might give it a go.
Oh, that's a very Bloodtithe thing to say. Even the horn, is just brilliantly done. But
very good.
The individual scales on the armor, on the legs, they are individual scales, but they have the same gleam, the same gleam pattern across all of them tied together. It looks like looks like a mosaic floor with correct lighting. This is just
they're almost like pearlescent, kind of got that kind of sheen to them. Really, really clever.
Yeah, this is just incredible.
It's a phrase that's coined and used even by another podcast. It's painting bravely, and it's using stuff it wouldn't occur to just an everyday painter to think, oh yeah, today I'm gonna paint this guy using blues and greens to black at the bottom of his belly, and then make that blend into beige, pink, red, and then make it absolutely pull off and work naturally. It's incredibly clever.
The skin tones for me are just incredible.
I'd be really interested, actually, going on from what you said, Bloodtithe, to kind of go and have a look if there's any work in progress, and just kind of take a look at how the process is done. Because this is kind of beyond any of us, I think it's fair to say. It's amazing, just the color work.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, there is some work in progress. Just had a look at the profile.
Oh, there is. Oh, there is. So that's a cool thing about these. You can go and have a look at these guys on social media most of the time and just see some of the work they've done, because it's inspirational. Like, even if you take a tiny bit of one of these models away and go, oh, you know what, I'm going to try and replicate that, which I did when I did the Windsor Chalk Giant. I was like, right, I'm going to go for an Ian skin tone. Let's mix some colours in. And it was great. And it came out really well. And I was really proud of it. And that's one thing I learned from that. And
That's it. Yeah, definitely.
I want to put...
It's easy to be daunted, but try and use them and just pick one thing that you really like that you might try in your own thing, and then it's been worth it, hasn't it?
I don't want to put words in Bloodtithe's mouth, but Ben is always a big proponent of try one thing. Like, try one thing. Just try this painting thing. Try this technique. Just try this, and then if you learn it, you get better at it. You can apply it to a bigger thing, and it's a real legit painting level up. Yeah, really cool.
But nothing to lose by trying something new, really.
It depends on how much the miniature cost.
That's
Whatever his name is.
I'll Scroggle Hunch Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, kapla. Okie dokie. Next up, we have got an Orc. Ben, this is 32mm matte.
Yes. So I think this one just immediately caught my eye with like the boldness, I guess is the word to use. Like, the skin is really bright, but contrasted that with the really, I'd say, realistic materials on like his armor and like trousers and things. I think it's just really eye-catching. His skin kind of actually reminds me of how you paint your skin, Ian, with like quite deep recesses of purple.
Yeah.
This comes out to really bold green, probably bolder than you do a lot of your orcs.
Yeah. I say this goes more limey direction.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's moot green.
Yeah.
Oh wow, moot green is completely invisible on the green screen. There you go. That is it.
So we just get some armor in this picture then.
Right. So what Ben was saying about the texture, I've got the trousers up on screen, Ben, but let's just talk it through for those listening on the podcast. That looks like legit canvas.
Yeah,
like a burlap sack.
Really good.
That's amazing.
How
do you even
think it's
do
fantastic.
that?
I think there's lots of small lines.
Hatching, isn't it?
Yeah, loads and loads. Because he's also done it kind of the similar effect on the leather straps. How that like really contrasts against the metal, where you got like the really like chipping.
Yeah, there's loads of like layers of scratches too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been built up. Very clever.
One thing I think is fantastic is on the right arm, you've got the creases of the elbow that are just they're just legit purple lines. But because, like Ben said, he's got the deep purple shading in there, which, you know, I mean, Ian has probably sold more pots of Druki Violet to Wobble than you know anywhere else in the world, and it just works so well. But that's not even it. You've got the armor looks like cast iron.
So deep gunmetal.
I love it. That sort of metal, I think, is like that's kind of why I picked this. It's just like the metal is just so realistic. I think it looks fantastic. I really like the sort of dark, grungy, and especially in contrast with that amazing skin. I think it's like, I just thought this really wowed me.
I think it's not particularly heavily weathered either, but where it is, it's really effective. So if you look at around some of those rivets, for example,
they're light rusting.
Yeah. It's just it's classy. I think it's really easy to go over the top.
Yeah, which I frequently do.
Yeah, the metal work is amazing. The leather work is amazing, but that metal just looks like actual metal.
Yeah, like an orc would wear that.
It looks heavy and it looks cold, and you know, and there's little bits of mud, little scratches, like little accumulations of dirt, and you can see on either side of the chin helmet. You know, there's like what just looks like streaks of mud from where he's picked up on the ground, and then when you look at that picture, you can kind of just bounce down, and there you see that you've got more of that texture on the trousers. It's just this is just a seriously realistic looking armor set with a highly fantastic looking almost like cell shaded skin. Like it's just incredible.
Yeah, I really like this one.
And I've got to say,
brilliant work, 32mm Matt.
There's some beautiful Blood Bowl miniatures that we got to see, and there was about 17 beautifully painted Black Orc teams. Like Steve Cross had a great one in there as well. There's just an absolute ton. So 32mm matte for the Black Orc, and mine is 50 Shades of Nuln. And this one is the Tree Man, but it is no ordinary Tree Man. This one has LEDs in its skull. It's just awesome. So we saw some whip of this, and to be fair, 50 Shades got it in on Jan 31st. Beautifully done. But yeah, I don't know if I can find any more pictures of it. No, I can't on this one. I failed you. But this miniature pops, and let's just ignore the glowing lights for a second. You've got the beautiful feathers, not feathers, you've got the beautiful leaves that are pink. It's blended in with the pink parts of like the under bark of the tree as well. You've got individual like the toadstools, and you've got a base that Bloodtithe Ben would be jealous of. All the tufts, all the like it looks like actual moss as well. Like,
it really does.
It's not just standard grass. He's built this base up. He's added a tons of layer. He's got the mushrooms in there. He's got the beautiful, like, pink, which is just really cool. I've not considered that. You got the Spite who's just chilling out on the top, and then you've got that incredible effect, which isn't cheating because it's just genius. And like I said, like I'm looking for creativity, and this is just so extra that I can't be bothered to do this, but this is a very cool idea, and having the LEDs in there. Whoa.
There's a lot of trees on the market really, model wise, but this is kind of showing where plastic really shines. I think
Literally.
In that kind of, it's got that kind of hollow. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Dear me. Hang on, let me compose myself after that. Yeah, so it just kind of shows plastic as the kind of as a modelling material, and kind of the fact that you've got the kind of hollowness that you can use. And I'll shout out Drew's as well, Drew Creedy's.
Yeah, that was great.
Into that, and he's got this halfling inside the tree man, as Moriarty, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a model that I think some of us have taken a while to warm to, but I think this one just kind of is like, yeah, okay, it's really cool.
It sells it. I think with the composition of the picture as well, where it's really dark, it makes it look really spooky. It really makes that light shine out.
Oh, like, this looks spooky.
This is like a really creepy, magic tree, and yeah, I love it. I think you're right, Ben. It's so creative using lights within it, and you mentioned cheating. Absolutely not. It's just a different. It's light, which is exactly what we try and emulate on a model. Why emulate it when you can actually use light to do light? Like, fantastic.
This is all levels of clever that I appreciate, backed up with just a really, really good paint job and a fantastic base. The model itself is pretty unassuming. There's not a huge amount of detail on there to really go with. It's a tree. There is bark, but actually the undertone of the bark versus the grey and just that base. What 50 Shades is, he has capitalised on every single individual opportunity within that miniature, and then just glued it on 2 inches of his own. Which I think is genius. Absolutely brilliant. So guys, that does wrap up our top three for our Paintry competition. But I gotta say, to the, I don't know, potentially hundreds of whips and entries and everything, there wasn't a bad one in there. It was awesome.
No, this was honestly really hard work to narrow it down. There's such amazing people who would probably go to their local event and win. That
Yeah.
we just couldn't, we just couldn't pick them all, unfortunately.
Then that's the cool thing about this hobby, especially I think in the Blood Bowl community. I know that there's a ton of cool stuff that people do for AOS and things like that. We've seen a couple of great miniatures, but I think where you've got a Blood Bowl and you need 12 to 14 players, I feel like it actually enables you to be a little bit more creative because you've got the time. Whereas, and you will both be able to kind of back me up here. When it comes to doing an army, if you're going to do some special stuff with the entire army, that's going to cost you. Whether it's basing,
isn't the commitment.
Yeah,
you tend to focus on the characters for that reason, don't you?
Yeah.
In the the recognisable ones. Although I did a few arm swaps on my grots, but no one will know.
No one will know. But you'll desperately cling on to them as the last few goblins alive.
I'll put them right at the front, yeah.
Right, fantastic. We are going to let Ian take a comfort break, and then we'll be. And we'll be back to talk about choosing your team colours, and I pestered these two with questions about painting. So we will be right back. And we're back. So we are going to have a look now and just talk through some stuff about how you go about choosing your team's colours. So you've got a brand new spanking Blood Bowl team or 29, and there's a tournament coming up tomorrow. How do you go about choosing the paint scheme? How do you choose your colours? So what we're going to do is just going to have a little chat about a couple of different ways to do it. Then we're going to look at some actual painting theory, and we're just going to have a little lesson from Ben and Ian here. So starting off, guys, Ian, start us off, man. How do you go about choosing your team colours? What are some ways to do that?
Yeah, so there's kind of three kind of ways that I would approach it, really, personally. So the first way is to kind of, with Blood Bowl in particular, look at actual sports teams, look at real world sports teams, look at kind of the kit color combinations. And, the fact is, it's an easy way. We know they work. People have pumped millions of dollars and pounds into to kind of getting these combinations and making their kind of kits iconic and memorable. So why not lift a bit from there? So
I like that, lift.
Yeah, so I mean, I've recently on the Blood Bowl community give a shout out to a really good Black Orc team I've seen using the Minnesota Vikings scheme. Kind of following that, and it just looks really good. The kind of purple and yellow.
You can't go wrong with purple and yellow with a cheeky bit of white in there as well to break it up. It works great on the Vikings team, and I've had at least one dwarf team with that scheme before. Because
it makes it look quite wealthy, like a kind of quite wealthy looking scheme.
Ben's a big fan of purple and gold.
Yeah, because that's the other thing to say, that metallics themselves can take up a color spot, as it were. So gold is a good example.
Orange.
Kind of can stand in for either kind of orange or yellow, depending on what kind of tech you go for.
Thank goodness for that, because my Black Orc team is mostly bronze.
Yeah, so I mean, then you could look at, if you wanted to kind of go a different route, is look at what colours would go with that. Look at the real world examples that have yellow, or that kind of deeper yellow, and then think about what they've matched it with. I think you've gone red, haven't you?
Yeah, I've gone bronze as like the core armor. I've gone grey for the fabric, and I've gone red for kind of like the straps and tags and like the accent pop color. Now I don't know what the actual terminology is for that. I mean, have I? Yeah, let's just jump ship ever so quickly, guys. So there is. It seems like with the Minnesota Vikings paint scheme, you've got purple as the primary color, yellow as the secondary. And then there's the third kind of... What is the third called? Is it an accent colour?
It depends how much kind of it takes up. And we'll come onto it a bit with the colour theory bit. But yeah, it depends if it's kind of trying to be in balance, or if, like you say, it's just trying to act, I think.
Yeah. Just cool. Right, well, I look forward to seeing if my team's passed the colour theory test.
I think the good thing about that is you can find one that will match.
I love it. Put LED lights in it, and I'm there. Right, brilliant. So yeah, that's a great start in copy real teams, because not only do you get the kind of the pop of the color scheme, because like Ian said, a lot of work's probably got into those, and millions of jerseys have been sold, but you also get a kind of tie-in, whether you, especially if it's a team that you personally relate to. So I'm a big Packers fan. I also happen to enjoy the color green, which is probably due to my surname, and my team, my Skaven team, the Never Bay Nightmares, green and yellow. I'm a Packers fan, green and yellow, and I've gone green and yellow with them, and I have to try very hard not to use green and yellow for basically everything, just because it's a colour combo that I like, and you can vary it, and it's fine.
And that's, it's just that there's a comfort blanket of knowing it works.
Yeah, it's also particularly good in Blood Bowl as well, because a lot of these sports teams have like striped colours as well. So if you're looking more into that's more of like a football or soccer kind of route, you can look at those teams, and I feel as soon as they have like stripes, like red and white, or or even like blue and green and yellow, like you say, as soon as it's striped, it suddenly looks like sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look at the Greenfield Grasshuggers, the kind of studio halfling team. I think when you look at them, you wouldn't necessarily think Green Bay Packers.
No,
they use the same colours, but like you said, they've mixed it up with stripes, or you might do like quartering or something. You can use those colours, but do it in a less obvious way, so it's not a complete port of the kit. But if you had your armour or your jerseys were purple and yellow quartered, it would still kind of the colours work together, but it wouldn't look like a direct influence. So you can be clever with it, I think.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound stressful to paint at all.
Quartering is iconically fantasy as well, or not fantasy, but like medieval as well. So you can kind of tie that in. Yeah.
That's a really, really, really good shout as well. Okay, so that's real teams.
What Ben's just said, it's on really nicely.
There's
another way. I'm just going to go for it. I'm on a roll now.
Go.
Is looking at kind of other real world kind of uniforms or color combinations, and also fantasy itself. So, I mean, one example that I always love to look at the Empire when you're kind of working with a human team or halflings or anything like that. Look at the Empire in Warhammer and look at some of those kind of the regions and things. So, for example, the nobility team I'm working on at the moment are the Talabheim Twitchers, and they are kind of red and white. And I'd kind of and ahed about the metallic color to use, and I decided to go against gold, working with those colors from looking at some of the kind of older armies and realizing that kind of a darker silver worked really nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree. I based a lot of my Blood Bowl teams that I've been working on. I hesitate to use the word finished. That I've at least started have been based on similar, because it's nice. I like to at least pick a location as part of their name, and then you can go in the lore and you can see the sort of garb from a lot of it comes from the really old books from Warhammer Fantasy. You look at their garb and you can kind of use that as inspiration.
Yeah, so my Blackhawks as well are kind of gone for a traditionally Bad Moon colour scheme, but kind of inverted. So traditionally they're kind of mostly yellow with black checks and black dags, but I kind of flipped it and went black with yellow. So similar to the kind of box art team, but going for the yellow instead of the white sort of thing.
Yeah, just sort of like taking what you have and mixing it up to make it your own is a really good tip, I think.
So I am personally a massive fan of starting from a kind of a fluff point of view, from a narrative point of view. So I know you guys just talked about like finding a place, finding a map, and then checking the heraldry of that. Whether it's, I think that ties into whether you're a sports fan. So we're in Southampton, so if you're a Saints fan, having a blue. Well,
watch out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of all
Sorry.
the colours to pick.
Yeah, I know. And then he went missing. But no, having a red and white striped team to tie that in, or if you've got like, just because that's from where you are, like that's the story of your team, or finding a place in the Blood Bowl world that just has got a cool sounding name, and then you guys are completely right. The Empire is bang on for this in Warhammer lore, but it also works for Bretonia. So it's just finding that place, finding that name, and you can kind of build the story around it, and that will help you look at some of the uniforms and the heraldry of those places, and that alone could inspire you to kind of find a paint scheme to anchor that story into. So I like this position. I like this, finding a place that ties in to your miniatures and using that to start off with.
So I mean, one other thing,
Okay.
and going on the Bretonian theme a tiny bit, is you could look at your own family heraldry. If you know your family has a coat of arms and things like that, you can normally look them up online and find where your kind of is a derivative of. Or if you happen to be in the Highlands and you have a clan tartan, using some of your kind of own history. You are the coach. This is your team. So infuse it with a bit of you.
That's a really good idea.
That's something
That
Rich
is
would
a
do,
cool
isn't
idea.
it?
Yeah, I think he has.
I think he probably has. Yeah, my crest isn't that all very exciting, to be honest with you.
I think mine
was
which works really nicely.
Yeah, mine was red and white, which is like my high up team. I was gonna sort of segue off that into sort of even deeper. The one I've got written down is ancient cultures.
Yeah.
And the reason I have this one down is sort of like ancient Egypt, or a lot of the East, like Greek, Roman, things like that. They used color in really, really, really weird ways that you wouldn't initially think. So it can be quite difficult. Let's say you have a color scheme you really want, but you don't really know how to use it. Let's say it's two difficult colors to work together. I'm just going to pull them out. Let's say I don't know, blue and lime green or something, which can be maybe quite difficult to work together.
The Seattle
really
Seahawks would like a word with you.
Okay, bad example. But
No, it's a horrible color scheme. But yeah,
it can. Yeah, it's horrible. You might be able to look at something like ancient Egypt, with a lot of their garb is really quite eclectic, and Chinese and Japan and stuff like that, where they use just so much color, but really creatively, and it's in ways that you wouldn't think of, because it could be flowers or something like that, or symbols, or maybe a rope that goes around could be a certain color, and you've got that color just sort of put in. You'd normally paint a rope maybe just brown, but then making that rope the teal or something, and really change it.
Kind of punch gloves and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of in Blood Bowl gear, isn't there? That you could. I think I don't think I've ever painted them anything other than brown. So that's something I might need to look at.
Yeah, it's definitely something, because I've been doing a lot of the Rising Sun box, where you paint Japanese stuff, and they've got things. They've got a lot of art on the box, and it's just things which you'd never even think of.
Yeah,
really clever.
Okay, so we kind of got copying something from real life, and then taking inspiration from a geographical or story or something based the heraldry and bits like that. We've got looking at inspiration from other kind of, from basically art and from military history, I think is probably a good way of saying that one. What else have we got? What other ideas or what other ways to find your team's colours?
Yeah, so I think kind of the next main way to approach it is going from more of a colour theory point of view.
Okay.
So often I think you go into painting a team, and maybe you've got one colour in mind. Okay, I want these guys to be blue. But then it's kind of, if you haven't got a kind of real world touchstone to kind of borrow from, looking at different ways that you could combine blue with other colours and get a really nice effect, and one that's maybe a proven method. It's not kind of hard and fast rules in art, and this is stuff I'm really only just kind of scratching the surface of getting into, and having tried a few times myself. So I'm sure Oscar Lars would have a lot more to say about this stuff, because he is a properly trained artist. But it's just some ways that you can find some colours that should work, basically. So yeah, I don't know if you want to get up some of the
Let's
colour
go.
wheels we found.
Let's go for
Yeah,
it.
so
Okay, so
hopefully,
first up, I had the Triadic. Is that right?
so complementary, ideally, I think I want to start with.
Okay, let me have a look and just switch over the graphic real quick. So we're looking for complementary. Gotcha. Whoa. It's
Okay, yeah.
Star
So,
of Chaos.
Yeah, this doesn't mean use every colour.
This is easy, guys. Use all the colours on your team.
No, this is just so if you're not familiar with this kind of idea of the colour wheel, this is just a kind of, basically, yeah, it is what it says on the tin. It's a wheel of colours, and looking at them kind of going round, and kind of it's done by their sort of like values and things like that. So if you were to say want, let's go with that purple and yellow, because we've actually just been talking about that with the Vikings, for example.
Yeah.
In a complementary scheme, you're looking for two colours that are opposite on the wheel. So you can see the arrows pointing between the opposite colours.
Yeah.
You've got purple and yellow. So, okay, pick those two. Obviously, there's a bit more to it, because then you're looking at the kind of intensity, or the kind of how dark, how light, how warm, how cold those different colours are. But it's a good starting point that if you were to pick purple, with some certainty, you would know that yellow would kind of bounce off it really well, and that both stand out.
So is that
Yeah.
is that kind of the purpose of this? Is this the kind of thing you can use then to say, right, what colour is my main colour to be? Randomly decide it, or you're like, actually, I really enjoy painting blue. Because there are colours that I think everybody kind of enjoys painting more, because they've got more hues of that, or they're more used to painting that. And I think unabashedly green, because I think I have all the green paints ever.
Absolutely.
Because tanks. But so you choose a colour green, and then you can use this kind of the complementary chart to look at what's opposite it. So interestingly, green here is flagging up saying that red is a good colour to be opposite it.
Yeah,
Christmas
so
theme.
they'll both pop. Yeah, Christmas.
The Christmas team. Now,
This is just one way, obviously, but you'll know that if you've got green and you've got red, they'll pop off each other.
so can I intercede here with a question or a point? Skin colour. Does that play into this as well? Because on my orc team, obviously I've got bronze, and I've got the red and the green on the skin does actually seem to work really well together.
Yeah.
So when you're painting something like an orc or something, or a troll, I mean, we've seen loads of like red skin trolls and stuff like that. We're kind of looking at the kit and the armor here of the Blood Bowl player, but what kind of level do you include the skin color? So if it's a rat ogre, you've got like skin and fur kind of colors. Do you well, you guys, both of you, do you kind of incorporate that into this, or do you use the colors just for the kit and let the skin just be what it is?
Yeah, I think that depends. Definitely. Go on, Ben.
So I was going to say, yeah, 100%. I think like every part of the model, the sort of can be cohesive and work together. So absolutely include, like, you're also talking to the guy with a whole bunch of like red and green orcs as well for 40k. But yeah, I absolutely agree. You can do really creative things with the whole model. Like, even if it's this might be going to different points. So I'll bring this up in a sec, Ian, if you want to say your point on this.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think that there isn't really a wrong answer to that. I think it depends how much of the model is taken up by the skin, and also kind of the strength of the colour. So, for example, if I was doing a human team, the skin colour, I try and incorporate various skin tones, but for the large part, the kind of base colour of them is fairly neutral. So it shouldn't really throw the colours too much. But I think orcs was a really good example there. That's something you definitely can consider. and particularly if they're less armored, and green is a bigger part of it.
Yeah.
And this is so if you were doing complementary, for example, so let's take that Vikings example. If you had yellow and purple, green is quite close to yellow, so you would have to think about what kind of green you want to use to go off of that yellow. Because if it's a yellowy green, you might find it gets lost.
It would be washed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you might go for a deeper green that's kind of going to differentiate it more. So it's definitely a consideration. Yeah, you're right.
Perhaps
More
with
neutral,
purple
maybe.
shading.
Both of the
Yeah,
brown.
I do purple shading.
All right, cool. So that's complementary colours. That's interesting.
So I have one more point with the complementary.
Yeah,
colours.
please do. This is genuinely really interesting for me. So sorry, you guys out there, if any of you've fallen asleep. I hope you haven't, because this is this is interesting. I've never really considered this, and I've been painting toys since, I don't know, how old were we? In 6, 7?
7, yeah.
25 years.
Oh, damn.
I know, right?
I'm 25 in 2 days.
Yeah.
Happy 25-year anniversary.
That is a layup. Anyway, sorry, Ben, you were...
Yes. So with the complementary colours, something I've found fairly recently, through painters a lot better than I am, sort of telling me, is they can be used in different ways, not just sort of complementing each other as colours on the model. So, for example, I don't know if this is purely colour theory or if it might just be these colours, because I haven't had a chance to try it properly with other colours. But when I paint yellow, this is a trick I learned off of Goobertown Hobbies, by the way. He's got a good video on it. He primed stuff in pink and then put a yellow ink as a filter over pink. And it makes it incredibly bold because those colours, because it's like a really bright yellow and kind of a pink on the colour wheel, they're fairly opposite. Purple will probably work just as well. It will just make it darker probably. But it just really emboldens the colour over the top. So if you put a complementary filter over the colour underneath as a base, it can really embolden the colour. That's something I found, at least with those colours, and I really want to try it with like red and green, because I've heard green is a really good shade for red and vice versa. So if you're like...
Yeah, for orc skin, having that kind of base of red to build on, definitely.
Yeah. So stuff like that, which I've heard can work really well. So if you want to like darken green, put a red filter over it, and it'll really like bolden it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is
definitely something else.
I mean, that...
yeah, I want to explore that a lot more myself. I haven't really had a chance. Other than the pink and yellow, which works great.
That raincoat yellow that you did for the Skaven team was just like, that was a next level kind of yellow. It actually looked like the colour rather than a faded, dry, husky white that highlighted yellows can come out as. So that's really cool. So my biggest issue with this complementary thing is that green and red is a very powerful combination in Magic the Gathering called Gruul. And it just sticks in my head. I'm like, green, red, right, here we go. Green, red. Gonna have some ramp, gonna have some burn spells. This is gonna be wicked. I actually think there's some cool Gruul stuff coming out of the new format as well, which is pretty cool.
Oh, such an ad.
Yeah, man. Kaldheim looks amazing.
Yeah, so good actually.
That's just Vikings. Anyway,
this is now a Magic the Gathering podcast.
I am going to stream some Magic at some point. I think on my next day off, I'm just going to have to do it because it's just great fun. Okay, so that was complementary colours. Ian, what are we going to look at next?
So kind of going off that, and it's just kind of a small point to add really. If you've got the split complementary.
Okay, here we go. Got the graphic on the screen.
It's a bit of a variation really, and this is kind of. Let's say you've got your primary colour of yellow. So in this example, maybe.
Yeah.
Your primary colour is yellow, that's your main choice, is to kind of go opposite the wheel, but then one to each side. So you've got this kind of, I want to call it like Screamer Pink.
Yeah, that
makes
is
any sense.
Definitely Screamer Pink.
Yeah, and then you've got like a more of a bluey purple. So it's just a way of playing around with that, really. So if you took it from green, if you kind of rotated your wheel, you'd kind of go for more of that. Yeah, Screamer Pink and then orange.
Green, orange,
This one
and
I have.
pink.
This one I haven't used loads, to be honest. And I think you probably want to use those two other colours in smaller amounts, and not necessarily like all on the armour, for example. But it might be like a good way of having your yellow, your dark blue, and then let's say your straps in that screamer pink, or your gloves in that screamer pink, or something like that.
Ah, yeah. That is cool. I guess I have one question here. Is a lot of NFL teams use white as their third colour?
Yeah, white's a neutral colour, really. So
yeah.
things like white, black, brown, to some degree, depending on kind of what it's like. More of your kind of beigey bone colours. They're not kind of represented on that colour wheel, because they're kind of neutral colours that you can sub in.
Because essentially, white in that situation would just be like a super light version of any complementary colour. And black would be the same.
They tend to like saturate and desaturate the colors as well. So I think it's kind of they work more as like a tone.
Yeah.
Rather than
definitely.
a color in their own right.
Look at it. If someone's used lots of browns, it's going to look completely different to you. If they've all got white trousers, it will do different things to the colors around them. But yeah, on the whole, it won't clash with them.
Okay, so what we've got so far is we're looking at the colour wheel, and you choose one side of it, and you look at the opposite colour, and you know that opposite colour is going to be a solid choice to give you pop as a scheme. It's going to advise you on where to go, and you can do whatever you like. You can absolutely do whatever you like. You can choose two colours that are next to each other and go to town. I've got a great example from the histories of Blood Bowl as well to bring up in a bit. And a couple of them just take the colour wheel and get it drunk and show it a good time, and end up with some interesting combos. So that's really cool. So that's the complementary colours. Ian, was there what we're going to look at now?
Going on from what you've literally just said, might be a good chance to do analogous or analogous, however you want to pronounce that.
Analogous.
Analogous, yeah.
So this is I like this one.
Sitting in one wedge of the colour wheel there and playing around with that. And I think one of the best colours for me seeing this is green.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of the number of times I've seen like amazing wood elf models that kind of are just purely based around using different shades of green, different types of green. It's amazing. So there's a kind of real harmony to it, but you can see individual parts. So a little bit like we're talking about that Nazgul with black, how they use different kind of ways of maybe kind of highlighting the black, different textures on the black. It kind of gave them a different kind of warmth or coolness to them. And you can really play around with that.
I think something to look at here as well is like fire. Fire is pretty much this scheme. Fire kind of works up from, reds to yellow to oranges to bright yellows. It kind of like follows this same gradient. See where you mentioned wood elves, you see a lot of them being like greens and yellows, really like natural, like sort of life colors. You can use like red and orange in a very fiery scheme, and it can work like that. So if you
kind of a good example of that,
yeah.
So with this one, you've got the main color, and then you just kind of go two shades in one direction, or just work with those three clustered colors together.
Yeah, I think you kind of want to largely stick in that wedge.
So like green, teal, and lime.
Yeah, it's interesting. You get kind of a sea theme for that, wouldn't you?
That's
and then what I'd say is you'd still look opposite the wheel for your like gems, for example. So look at that yellow-orange kind of segment that's shown on the screen at the moment. Maybe you could do blue gems, and they would kind of really pop against those colours.
That is very cool, because I was looking at the last chart, and we were looking at using the opposite colours, and I'm sitting here with my 75 Blood Bowl teams painted in green and yellow, and I'm like, I've been doing this all wrong. Terribly sorry, Wisconsin, but you need to sort your kit out. But green and yellow fits in with the analogous method there, where you've got that wedge. And you know what? The Seahawks are green and blue. And yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. And just I think
saying, like at the beginning, there's no hard and fast rule, and generally, if you look hard enough, you can find a combination of the wheel that probably fits what you've already done. But this is kind of a good way of planning out from the start what you want to do.
Yeah.
okay.
It's theory, isn't it? It's theory that kind of like guides you in the right way, but it's also art, and art is extremely subjective. Some things just work, even if it doesn't, like, you know. Yeah, we mentioned that the troll you chose for the painting competition, where it had all sorts of colours all over it. That probably wouldn't really fit with many of these. Yeah, but you could probably find one. It's just how they've used the theory of it. So like within the different segments itself. So like the skin was kind of a complementary gradient. Then he had his armor where it had like verdigris on copper is kind of a complementary thing. Because you've got like green over orange, and it's things like that. It's uses of it with different textures, materials, kind of seeing how you can incorporate it into it. I think, which is where really the creativity really comes. And I love this stuff. I think it's great. Interpreting it in different ways and seeing how other people have done it.
Talk about a lot in our group and kind of be a bit more kind of purposeful with it, aren't we? And it's cool. Yeah, it's good to chat about.
So, I know you sent us a bunch more of the charts here. Are any of those you think are going to be particularly useful to go through?
Yeah, so I'd say probably the next one, and the one that I've used recently myself, is the triadic.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so this is cool. So I used this recently for my Splintered Fang, where I kind of took purple as my kind of main colour, and then off of that I've got orange and green. So I've used orange for things like kind of a bit of war paint, some of the kind of tips of the hair, and then green is the kind of they've got little poison vials and things that I've done a kind of quite a bright green. So yeah, that I kind of purposely wanted to try this because I wanted them to be quite a colourful bunch, but still not look chaotic. If that makes, well, despite them being chaos, obviously.
So purple, green, and orange.
Yes.
It's a very parrot kind of scheme they're in.
Yeah. Nature knows best.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, that's a really solid point, actually, Ben. Nature does know best.
Mimics life and all that.
Said it in Jurassic Park, which was over 25 years ago.
Missiles on that. But yeah, no, I think yeah, like I said, I wanted them to look colourful, and almost a bit kind of carnival. But I wanted the colours to work together still and not kind of be a complete clash. So this is really good for that. And I still think you probably want to choose one as your kind of main colour, and then the other two kind of pop off of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is probably one of the harder ones to kind of follow, because you are absolutely right. I think you have to be very sparing. I think with one. I think having all three equally on the model can look, like you say, carnival-y.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, even if I just so let's take green for example on these models. I've literally just used it in one portion of the model, and then like a tiny bit on the blade to show poison. So really, it's kind of a purple with orange, and then green is that kind of just little details. So I think you can use it that way as well. It doesn't have to be in perfect balance of the amount you've put on.
Really clever.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed trying that actually, and I think it's come out all right. So I'll definitely try it for other things too.
That is really, really cool. Okay, I have some colour theory testers for us to consider. Now, I don't know if you guys aren't going to necessarily be able to follow along with this because of the way we've got this set up. So I'm just going to bounce over to this screen on the footage because we've got a few Blood Bowl things to look at, which I think fail the fail the color challenge, massively so. So, oh wait, first of all, I've grabbed a picture of the Seahawks team just because they look like traffic wardens essentially. Let's pop that into the group chat. They've gone with a lime green and dark blue. Let's probably just move on from that one. But you challenged it. Okay, so we're going to now have a look at Blood Bowl 2nd edition because, and I'm just going to chuck these into the group chat, guys. We've got the Gouged Eye. Now, the Gouged Eye was an orc team. This is from Blood Bowl 2nd edition. I would say they've got the green skin, and they've got red, and they've got white as their primary colours. Does that pass or fail the colour test?
Well, I'm going to be really... Oh, sorry, Ian, you can...
I think that's a clear pass. Obviously, we don't want to, pass too much judgment because, there's people out there with their toys looking at them.
Don't worry. There's a couple we can fail and not feel bad about it.
There's green and red, and then white is the neutral colour. I think that's not offensive in the slightest, apart from those pants.
Yeah, the briefs are quite bad. Ben, what do you think?
See, I'm already going to preface this with a really annoying arty answer and saying it's not really passing or failing. I don't think you can really say this works, this doesn't work, because the context really matters and what it's trying to achieve from the artist and how it makes the person interpret it.
Let me send you a picture of the Elfheim Eagles. So the Elfheim Eagles have got red armor, pink spandex. Some of their legs have got yellow crisscrosses or polka dots in, and they've also got some white gloves and white shoulder pads to go along with it.
See, I think it passes because it kind of uses it in the wrong way intentionally. It's like it shows they're really sporty, they're really garish, they're really just really up themselves to be that obnoxious. That's how I interpret that. It's kind of like failing the color wheel, but to effect. Which I think it's the same reason you have clowns in horrendous color combinations, because they're meant to be really kind of annoying, right?
All right,
eye catching.
That is a reasonable answer. So, let me introduce you to the original Bright Crusaders.
Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to this one.
So these guys are half yellow, and the other half are blue and white stripes.
Oh man, it's like watching the X.
This does look a little bit like if X-Men, the original cartoon series, was a football team. So first of all, this would be a nightmare to paint, right?
Yeah, it would be.
I'd
say it wouldn't be as bad as the Elfheim Eagles, but
I love these.
You can find something to match them, because look, I've got here a tetradic rectangular, which has got yellow and blue, and then they could have some orange and purple if they wanted.
They could just go all for it for the full cloud effect.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. There's no kind of passing and failing, because you can justify it. I think it's just about finding something that's going to help you if you're really stuck.
Yes,
definitely.
From a point of view, yeah. If you were to, again, this works in the context as well of Blood Bowl, because it's so. Blood Bowl is, they're meant to be really bright on the pitch, right? It's sports. That's kind of what sports is. If you were to do this sort of scheme on, a painting of what's really serious, let's say you've got a World War II diorama, and you paint
it's by Bright Crusaders Panzer Division.
Yeah, it's just that's ridiculous, because it's it completely gives you the wrong impression.
All right, every Space Marine player ever is going, hold my Howling Griffins, please.
That's very true. Space Marines ignore this.
Ball is tiny. It's like Dr. Mario with a pill.
Who's that?
The Bright Crusaders, the guy at the back, holding a ball.
I think he's a halfling, isn't he?
I don't know. What's he holding?
That's a ball.
Tiny.
A very deflated ball.
Oh, the ball. It might be a sandwich. You don't know. It's Games Workshop. Next one. I love this one. This one I really like. The Lowdown Rats. Simple,
they're cool.
purple, and black. Half and half
Yeah,
paint
I
scheme.
love this.
Why is this so good? Like, what is it? What can we learn from this? That
It's the tone. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun.
this is superb. No. That was answering the question. This is a great start.
So I think this is what is also really good with the wheel. I don't think we got onto it. So it's not just obviously these colors, which are the really sort of bright saturated. You've got the different tones that go down like towards white and black, which just takes the color out of it. And that adds a lot. Like here, this is really desaturated, dark kind of colors. And this makes them, you think they're sinister. They're like of the Underdark because there's like little light. Compare it to the Bright Crusaders who look like, they're the greatest heroes of them all from the 80s. These guys are definitely the villains that be like, I get you next time.
Actually, yeah, it's kind of very reminiscent of Green Goblin.
Yeah,
another place you can actually is kind of like cartoons and things like that because they're designed to be really kind of eye-catching and memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely look at, there's that kind of, I think it's superhero movies there's a kind of an unwritten rule where they're always blue and orange. If you look at movie posters for like superheroes, they're blue and orange because they kind of really stand out.
That's interesting.
Battlefield as well. The Battlefield games always do that.
That is very accurate.
Blue in one end and like the fire to orange.
Absolutely, that classic fade. Just looks so sweet.
Yeah.
All right, we got the Dark Side Cowboys and the Reichland Reavers. So these guys are both. This one is blue with yellow accent. One is yellow with blue accent, and that both works. We got like several NFL teams that have those colors. The Rams, the Chargers. These are teams that just blue and yellow just goes really well together.
See, I'd say the Cowboys there look a bit more orange to me.
I was going to say the Dark Side Cowboys. They follow the whole monochromatic thing, which I think was one of the wheels that we had a look at.
Yeah.
On their armor and their skin and their boots, it's again using the different tones of white to black along the same color. Very different shades. Like their skin is sort of a pale blue, the armor's blue, and the boots are dark. And then they've flat bang the complementary on there as well.
And you just get sports vibes. Just let me check and see. Okay, sorry.
Monochromatic. If you look at the actual skin colours as well, and this is something you can build in to kind of really go for that monochromatic. The shading is blue too.
Yeah.
If you look at that, it's got a very white skin with blue shading. So literally, the only other colour, as it were, is orange.
Mm-hmm.
You can spot that from a mile off.
Okay, we got one more here. Is the Chaos All Stars. So this is a proper classic scheme. This is kind of green and pink. But that is what we saw in the colour wheel, isn't it? Green versus red, but obviously just a lighter version of the red that's slightly adjusted to make it more pastel. This
saturated, yeah.
Yeah. This looks like one of those Velcro ball games that you had as a kid with the pad, and you used to throw the ball and it got stuck to the pad. Like it definitely. I love this scheme. We were looking at this the other week on Whip Wednesday. Someone's started painting an All Stars team for Renegades with this scheme, and it looks awesome. And I don't know if it's just because it's so creative or so bright, or because the colours work so well together. I mean, what do you think, Ben?
I'm really confused what the player on the left is, but I can. Well, that's not distracting me. I like it a lot, and this is sort of what I was saying again with the like the Bright Crusaders and the Alfheim Eagles, where this really big contrast when it's like immediately next to each other, as opposed to what we were saying before, where you can kind of work it in, like the gemstones, like Ian said.
Yeah.
When you just have them like literally next to each other, like this, or like stripes, that's when it's super flashy and super eye-catching, and that's what works super well with this, because they're meant to be, so they're meant to attract the attention of the crowd. Sure.
Cool. So we've had a look through some absolutely classic Blood Bowl team colours. And we've looked at the colour wheel. We've looked at kind of how to match your colours, how to pair your colours, how to make things pop, make things match. But it really is down to you. And how, like, how do you choose how do you go with an accent? You use the colour wheel to advise you?
Yeah, definitely now.
Yeah, I
I
think
think I used to, but I definitely do now. Definitely try and go into it thinking about that, and like thinking about like gems is a good one. I don't think I ever would have thought about painting them necessarily anything other than they're red, aren't they? Or but actually being a bit more thoughtful about what impact it will have. Definitely.
No.
something I try to do is again something that I'm never going to claim I invented. I took it from some other people who are better, but highlighting the colors with the same color. So you would highlight, but like say in this Chaos All Stars, you've got the pink and green. Find a neutral color. Like often, what works really well is like a pale skin tone. That kind of tends to work with any color because it's that neutral brown kind of thing. Mix that in, or mix that into the color when you highlight it, and then work it up to the same color on both, and it really, really helps tie stuff together.
Oh, that is very clever.
I think people do that as well across blended parts often as well. You could have like a solid highlight color running across like a blended plate or something.
Yeah.
And it just kind of makes it convincingly look more like one. But yeah, no, I've definitely done that before with like, say, Pallid Witch flesh, or a Shabty Bone or something, mixing that in as the highlight because it kind of takes them to a similar tone, doesn't it? In sort of where they sit.
I do have one more hobby question before I let you guys go. And Ian, this kind of links back to an article that you've written on your WordPress, which was about tapering.
Yeah.
But more specifically, when you're putting it in a Blood Bowl point of view, you got a team, you got 12 players, you want all those players painted to the same scheme. When you set out, say you've decided, so I've got my undead team. Currently they're called the Somewhere Spiders, but that's because the Patreons are choosing a name for me for the team. They are going to be a kind of dark red and a yellow to be the accent colour. Now, that's just how it's going to be, and I think that those colours will work all right. I'm going to have to be careful and make sure that they go apart. I think it's going to be fine. But do you guys, when painting a team, do a test model? So I know you guys have done loads of schemes. So Ben, when you started your pirates, do you do a test model for your scheme, or do you just gung-ho Leroy Jenkins it?
I think for everything I paint, I try and do a test model first. I do a test model to completion, otherwise you end up backtracking because sometimes color doesn't work, and you look at it and you think that doesn't work. The pirate I did, where you use that as an example, the main scheme is yellow, and I actually tried. I thought of putting in purple to be like the spot color because of that thing, but to me that didn't work because it didn't sell the impression that I wanted from them. It made them look a little bit too garish. So that's when I toned it back and I used sort of shades of black and white instead. So yeah, if I'd done that like across the whole army, I would have had to then backtrack because sometimes you look at it and it just doesn't look right. And I think that's kind of what color theory helps try and explain why things might not look right. But obviously it's all up to interpretation as to what that model, I'm going to say it, evokes in.
Oh gosh. You said evoke today.
So yeah, I do a test model to answer the question.
You do. So how about you, Ian? And I know that you've got your whole tapering method, but like, where do you start along that kind of scheme?
Yeah, I tend to be quite gung ho, if I'm honest. So I mean, I think that the Splintered Fang are kind of comparable to a Blood Bowl team, so I'll take them as my example. What I've done is I've kind of painted all of them up to the point where I was kind of like, okay, I've done all the skin, I've done all the metals, which I was really set on in terms of their colour. Got all that painted up. Then I've taken just one of them forward and finished that as a test model. because I wanted to check where I was trying this triadic thing for the first time, whether that would actually work. So I've taken one model forward to do that, and now I can go back and take the rest of them on. So yeah, often I think if I feel confident in the combinations, I won't bother doing one test model. I'll just do a whole load of them. So like the nobles, for example, I didn't feel like I massively needed to do a test model because I kind of knew it worked because I've seen it work in Warhammer. It's a scheme.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if I'm trying something new, definitely a test model. If not, then just go for it.
Fair enough. And what about, I mean, briefly, Ian has a method of painting called the tapering method, which is kind of like a way to make yourself feel better about batch painting. Ian, 30 seconds. Give us a quick breakdown on the tapering method.
Yep. So it's kind of painting up to the point of your kind of own interest and then narrowing down. So let's say you start with 10 models, or let's say 12 because it's a Blood Bowl team. You start with 12 models, start painting them all. Maybe you get all your base colours done, but then you're kind of a bit ugh. So then maybe you take it down to 6 models or 5 models, and then you take them forward, and so on until you kind of reach that point of frustration with them, and then you might just finish 3 of them or even 1 of them as your test model, for example. The good thing about that is then you can go back and all your models are started and are well along the way, so you don't have to start from scratch again.
I like that because this is what I was going through with the Black Orc team. So did a little stream, and it was a bit of a battle to base all the colours in one go, and I ended up kind of doing one test model as I was going, and then I added the red to see how it looked and added the grey to see how that would look, and just got to that point. So I've got the troll who's, I don't know, on the way. Most of the colours are painted in, and I've got one goblin mostly done and one orc mostly done, and the others are kind of in various stages. Well, actually that's not fair. I've got all the base colours down with it, but I haven't done the red detailing. And it just made me think about the tapering method and how actually you base all of a colour, and actually you focus on finishing up one model to see how it looks, and then you've got one model finished. Now I have a different tact normally with Blood Bowl teams, which is paint 7 of them because of sevens. So I've got a whole bunch of Blood Bowl teams that have got 7 players fully painted and based and ready to go, at least 7. And the rest of the team is basically like base coated or primed or something. So in a kind of similar way that actually I've got my team for 7s painted, and if I need to do 11s, I've only got to paint 5 or 6 more guys. Like, it's way easier. And the whole
about making it better for future you.
yeah. So
even if you just get one base color down on every model, that's one thing you don't have to do in the future.
Yeah, but I did find it quite boring. But thank you to those guys of you who joined me on the painting stream, because it is massive. It just helps so much. It just helps so much. Or hang out with some friends on Discord on a game night and just
that always helps.
Have a chat while you're getting some paint on the go. Anything else you guys want to cover before we wrap?
I'll say one closing thing. I think it might be obvious to a lot of people. It might not be. It might be handy. Something that's sort of always helped me is if you aren't satisfied with the color that you paint. Let's say you paint like I've got this purple that doesn't work. Just always have a good white and a good grey and a good black to hand, and mix in white and black, because that desaturates the color and it turns into a different color. It'll turn it into a less bright purple, and sometimes that works. Like it might be that suddenly your purple that looks like plastic toy might now look like a cloth, something like that. So I think don't be afraid to mix in whites, greys, browns, blacks to the color to just tone it down a bit, because sometimes that just makes it look a bit more natural, maybe more what you had in your mind.
And I think that's probably a really good way of, as I feel like dark, dusky colours pair really well with bright accents. And I think you're exactly right there, Ben, is actually if you've got 2 colours that aren't fitting well together. So I think that the orange and blue, for example, are that's quite a clash to me, actually. But whether or not it's on the mythical chart or not, don't know whether it's okay. But I imagine if you just went and painted blue and orange, both mid-tone, it would look a bit garish. or it may not pop, or it may not work, or it may look washed. Well, actually, you can tone down one colour, tone up another, and yeah, Ben, you're right. You've created two different colours, and you can kind of mix it to get that medium where it works well together, it gels well together. Or you can just be a madman like they used to be in the second edition Blood Bowl and just choose two colours and paint it.
Orange, British blue off the shelf.
Honestly,
saturation slider to the max.
I'm gonna do this at some point. I am just gonna randomly generate two colours and paint a sevens team based on that colour. Just whatever they are.
Let's get some of the pure pigment paints because they're like as saturated as you can get, like pure like cyan.
Yeah, just get crayons and you'll be using one orange Crayola and a blue highlighter. Go. You two would somehow still make this work. That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much for talking about Blood Bowl, talking about hobby, because it's really good, because it's kind of something we don't focus on a lot, because we're all about the rules and the game and what you can do on the pitch. But actually, you spend a whole bunch more time at home not playing Blood Bowl than you do actually playing Blood Bowl. So,
especially now.
Oh, yeah, especially now. So the game outside the game is a big part of the hobby. And if it's not a part of the hobby you don't enjoy, that's okay. But it does tend to help build up that brand, that franchise of your team. And hey, Knights had it right, the Greeks had it right. Colours mean things, and it's a pretty good way to do. So yeah, Ian, thanks ever so much for jumping on and bringing your hobby wisdom to us. Where can people follow you? Where's best to follow you?
I'm most active on Twitter. If you just look for Warhannam, so War WARHANNAM, but also on Instagram, but a bit more casual posting on there. But yeah, if you want to chat Twitter, feel free to get in touch. Yeah.
And if you guys happen to know anybody who works for the Warhammer community team, please make sure that next time they feature Ian's miniatures, they get his name right. Ian Warhannam Hannam. Bless him.
Hamman, I think was the best one.
Hamman. Yeah. That one hurt. You'd think after all the times they'd featured your miniatures, Ian, they would have got you, mate. I think they're doing it right. I think they're doing it on purpose now. Like, it's the teal and orange guy again. What's his name? That hamster man. Fantastic, Ian, thank you very much. And Bloodtithe Ben, thank you as ever for hanging out and talking Blood Bowl. It was awesome.
Always fun.
Yeah, man. Right, guys, we're going to disappear. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again soon for more Blood Bowl nonsense. Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
Before we carry on, Ben, do you remember what we're talking about this episode? Because obviously I've written it down.
Yeah, painting competition winners, painting different various painting techniques and stuff we've learnt. Pretty bad, isn't it?
I thought it was choosing your kit colours.
Okay,
That's the one.
We'll go with that one.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
Ian, do you want to take it?
Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right.
Amazing.
I'll write it down. Painting comp winners.
But I guess we'll have a little break before we start that, will we?
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh yeah.
you
Don't
just wanna
worry.
run
Don't worry.
it
You can have a break, Ian. You can have a break. It's all right.
I can't for break.
You'll believe the rates we have to pay to get Ian on the show.
Yeah. Why are my walls painted?
Hey, I painted one of your walls poorly.
You did. Yeah, you did actually.
It was quite bad. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I've been over it.
Yeah. No. The important thing is that if you're asked to do something, you do it, but do it well enough so that they don't so they either don't need to do it again or don't ask you to do it again.
Yes, that's it. Do it so good or so bad.
Next time, Ian, I will pay a professional to paint a wall on my behalf for you.
Thank you.
That's all right. I think it's only fair.
Oh, to be fair, it's nothing that another coat won't fix.
All right, Duncan.
Yeah.
Right, I've got it. I've got the intro written down. I'll be fine.
All right, sweet. Well then, gentlemen, shall we?
Yes, clear my throat.
Unique New York.
New York. Yeah, let's do it.
Okie dokie. Now, can I remember what I'm supposed to say?